Hey, everyone, it's Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, bringing you back for another slice of social media pie. This is my live interview series where I bring on inspiring people to inform and educate you. And today, very special guest, Loren Greiff. Hey, Loren, how are you doing today?
I'm so excited to be here. I only wish I had my apple pie right here out of the oven, because that would just be the icing on the cake or the pie.
That would be the crust on the pie, if you will. There's no analogy for pie like there is for cake, like the icing on the cake, unfortunately.
We'll make one up.
There you go. Well, I'm delighted to have you on this live edition today, Loren, and I want to take a moment to invite our viewers, whether you guys are watching on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on YouTube, if you could drop a comment below. That helps with two things. One is it lets me know that the live broadcast is actually working. I've had a couple of these instances over the past year or so, Loren, where the live feed wasn't working, and I'm like, oh, we had a whole conversation and people missed it. So that helps us. So if you are watching this, if you could just drop a quick comment below. And you guys, did you see the little tip I put up on screen for you? I've noticed that when you watch, especially LinkedIn Live, if you leave a comment, sometimes you get that little screen freeze. Have you ever noticed that, Loren, when you're like watching a live and you leave a comment on there?
Totally. Yeah. So, somebody, thank you. Easy as pie.
Yeah, easy as pie. So my little hack is, if you're watching it on your laptop, go on my LinkedIn activity feed on your phone and find the broadcast there, and then you can drop a comment from your phone. That way, yes, it is easy as pie. You won't disrupt the stream, you don't miss anything, and you can keep watching it. And then you can start to see your comments that are popping up on screen. So I see folks are now starting to see the live feed. So it looks like LinkedIn is up and running. And I know there's people from around the country. Brian saying it's frozen in Dallas. Where are you joining us from today, Loren?
Oh my goodness. In the oh my God, it feels like the Arctic blast over here in minus 18 degree weather here in Chicago.
Wow. Yeah. And you do have some hard winters there, being so close to the waterfront over there for certain, right?
Yeah, we're warm here in the apartment though. Great.
Yeah.
And
good.
Lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee, lots of hot coffee. All right, guys. So I'll continue to ask you guys to continue to leave your comments. I'll pull them up on screen. And I want to tell you guys a little bit backstory here on Loren. And I've been seeing your name for like a while, Loren. And I remember at one point on your LinkedIn profile, you had like your first name was like uppercase, lowercase, Loren. And now you're doing something similar with your last name. I think I know why you're doing that, but can you tell people why you do that?
Disruption. I often say, disruption is your friend. And the reason for that is, we're 735, sometimes 760, depend who you're talking to in terms of statistics, how many people are on LinkedIn. And if everybody has the same, it's so easy to continue in the scroll and the scroll and the scroll. So really, I wish I could tell you that there was some like massive strategic idea behind this, but I do change it up a lot. And upper and lower case is also something that I play with all the time, because I have been a design junkie and always want to just play with fonts and phonetics and all kinds of things.
See, I thought it was because, and I was mistaken. I thought it was because it's an easy way to screen out the bots. Because if you get an invitation that says, hi, capital Loren, it's a person, as opposed to lowercase l, like you have in your name field. It's a way to identify those bots. So I was mistaken. I actually like that you're using it as a creative approach, though.
Thank you. No, I also have a very difficult last name to spell. And somehow this makes it a little bit more punctuated, so people are more mindful instead of saying
Very cool. Very cool. So Loren, at any rate, however we kind of first came across each other, I was watching you for a while, and then I was like, one day I was like, she should be on the Rockstar list. I published this Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstar list, and you weren't on it yet. And I think I reached out and I said, I'm going to add you, and I can't believe I don't have you on here already. And it was just more of a messaging exchange. And then it was probably, I don't know, about 2 weeks or so ago, maybe in a week ago or so. No, it had to been a little longer than that. And we were both on Clubhouse, and we were in a room, and we got the chance to be on the stage in the speaker area. And that was the first time we actually got a chance to chat. So I feel like I'm still learning a little bit more about you, Loren. So why don't you take a few minutes, tell people a little bit about what your business is all about, and then we're going to jump into this conversation about how to use Clubhouse and LinkedIn to accelerate your search.
Fantastic. And yes, this is what happens, right? You know, you've been in this neighborhood and now you're in another neighborhood and you're like, oh, it's funny, we've never even crossed paths before. So I think that is a testament on such a large degree to social media. And back to your question, my name is Loren Greiff, and I am the proud owner and founder of Portfolio Rocket, which is a system that is consistent and repeatable, allowing senior level creatives and marketers to learn how to find jobs that are not posted online through the hidden job market. So that's a different strategy than what we have all known and grown up with, right? That traditional strategy of applying online, and going through kind of the black and white or the suit and tie way of approaching your job search.
Yeah. I like calling it the black hole because it's energy sucking and soul sucking. Right? It pulls away from you. And I'm like, there has to be a better way, right, than doing the way that we've always done things before. Now, do you specialize in helping people in the creative fields, or do you work across industries? Tell us a little bit about that.
Senior level creatives and marketers specifically. Okay. And it's not that this system won't work with other types, and it's completely transferable. So everything that I'm going to share here can apply to you and you and you and you. It's not, and I'm not trying to keep this exclusive in terms of its applications. The reason why I work with senior levels, creatives and marketer is primarily because it's the language that I speak. And I have been in that industry for over 30 years and have developed my own understanding of that audience. And that's a big part of what marketing is understanding who you're talking to, who you're providing that value to in a way that they know that you're onto them and that they are seen and heard and they are in a trusted place so that they are learning from somebody who understands their challenges and opportunities.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you've kind of embraced and you've figured out what that niche is that you want to focus on, because it really gives you clarity for your business and for your audience to understand that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are my peeps.
Those are your peeps. So let's shift gears and let's jump into our conversation. So when I reached out to you, Loren, I said, let's do a live chat. What do you want to talk about? I said, you can pick about anything you want. And you said, and the topic's right above you guys here, if you see that, it says how to use Clubhouse and LinkedIn to accelerate your search. Now, and I know, Loren, there's probably a handful of people that are watching this either live or in playback, and they've been hearing about this Clubhouse thing. And they're like, what is that? What is Clubhouse? So how do you explain what is Clubhouse for those folks that are kind of wondering that thing?
Sure. So a couple things to know. First of all, Clubhouse is new-ish. It actually started in, I believe it was the very beginning of the spring of 2020. Okay. And it's been rolling out. It's still in beta test. So you know, not everyone has access to it. And that's not like they're trying to be exclusive or alienating to any Android users, but it is right now only available through iPhone. Mm-hmm. It is an invite-only app. Again, that's just the way that it works. You get it through somebody else who has an invite. But what you need to know is that it's an all audio app, meaning you're not texting, you're not using any other way to communicate on the app other than your own voice, which allows you to not only be kind of uber authentic, because you can't take that back and you can't edit it, but also as a form of connection and communication. So it really does change the game in terms of how those ideas are being spread. And that's really what it is. It's an intense, content-driven app that shares content through conversation.
Awesome. And how long have you been on Clubhouse now, or how long have you been?
I believe it was in the middle of December. So okay. in the middle of December, so maybe like a month and a half.
Okay, so you're fairly new too. I felt like when I came into Clubhouse, it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more or less than that. But I kind of was like, oh, I'm not one of the early adopters, like the bleeding edge adopters. I usually like wait to see if something is gaining traction. And it got to that point, like the tipping point for me was like all the people in my network that I had been asked a few times. Kenneth Lang was one of those people. He kept saying, hey, you got to check this out. I'm like, Kenneth, I don't have more time. in the day, and people are saying, oh, I'm spending like 3 to 5 hours on Clubhouse. I'm like, how do you come up with 3 to 5 more hours in a day? Like, I'm struggling. But then I don't remember who it was. It was the person who invited me. I'll look in the app in a second. But it was a fellow LinkedIn rock star. She said, there are people from LinkedIn holding a chat on Clubhouse tonight talking about LinkedIn features, and they're asking us for our opinions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the people from LinkedIn are going out, like the people that work from LinkedIn. So I kind of got on there, and the rest is history. And I see some people watching. If you guys are watching and you're on Clubhouse, feel free to leave your Clubhouse handle in the comments, and we can do a little bit of following each other too. So tell us a little bit about, Loren, how can folks that are looking to make a job change or in career transition right now, how can they use Clubhouse and combine that with LinkedIn to really help to accelerate their search?
I am so excited to share these. I'm like literally like bubbling inside. First of all, shout out to Kenneth Lang. Thank you. He's responsible for dragging me into Clubhouse. I'm super grateful for that. So what I want you to know about Clubhouse and why I'm so geeked up about sharing all this information is because it operates as a search engine the way LinkedIn, Google, Chrome, all of them, are responsive to keywords. And it allows you to filter throughout the entire engine. On the far upper left-hand corner of your screen on Clubhouse is a big magnifying glass, a familiar icon, nothing too novel there. But the first 3 lines of anybody's profile are what you want to be looking for, because those will have a hierarchy in terms of where they land in the search. Okay. So when you are searching on Clubhouse for the term hiring, you will see all the folks from various companies that are using that in those first 3 lines. And so you can play with this across multiple phrasings like hiring, we are hiring with an apostrophe, we are hiring, totally separate search with totally separate results, recruiter, headhunter, talent. And usually you'll find talent manager, talent acquisition. So you can mix and match any of these. Now, right now, you can, I believe that you can also put like hiring plus, oh, thank you. I
was trying to figure out like, how can I do this? So I took a picture and I tweeted it. That's what I did.
Okay. So I think you have to go back, Brenda, because that's my profile, but you want to go back to the Clubhouse. I think I have it. I don't want to get off of here, but the main screen where you see all the hallways. Okay. And you'll see that I'm pointing it at the same time that I'm looking. And you'll see it like on the upper left.
Are you talking about like the magnifying glass thing?
Correct.
Okay. I'll take a picture of that and I'll tweet that and then keep going as we're talking here.
So the point here is that you're going to be able to sort through open roles, people who are actually hiring. And if you combine that with a company or with a specific title, you're going to start to find opportunities that may or may not be posted in any other place. So you can actually either start on Clubhouse. Some people believe it's better to start on LinkedIn. I've actually been testing it in both ways. Okay. So you can use Clubhouse to identify who those people are, go back to LinkedIn. What have they been posting? What have they been writing? Are you linked in with them already? Can you go LinkedIn to them there, learn a little bit about them, follow them on Clubhouse, bump into them in a room. Right. Hear what they're saying. Use that as part of your cover letter or part of your connection request. So all of these are essentially great ways to pick up clues that can connect you to somebody you've never met before that is probably looking for you or someone just like you. And those are ways to really be able to immediately crack into conversation with also extremely real-time information. You just heard them in a room 15 minutes ago. Now you can go post that out into your LinkedIn. You heard this great tip that they shared, or something that was a story that just touched your heart. Use it as a way to build a personal relationship and a connection, rather than waving your hand and saying, hey, I need a job. And I think that this is just the most seamless and instantaneous way to reach them, even before anything else happens. I mean, they're building pipelines. And so this is a way to really be included in that, in that candidate pool.
So do you think the people that are looking to hire talent are, and then the people that are on Clubhouse, are they also using LinkedIn? Like, what if I can't get into Clubhouse is my question. There's a whole, I don't know, not 50% of the population, but there's a lot of people out there that don't have Clubhouse, they don't have an iPhone, or they just don't want to do another app, right? So how can we still find these people on LinkedIn, or do you have to use
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, the strategy behind this isn't to just go out and find people who are hiring, right? It's a little bit different right now on Clubhouse because it doesn't have the volume that it does on LinkedIn. But when you are on Clubhouse, and if you're in a search and you want to be targeted and strategic about the kinds of people that you want to build your network around, it starts with something really, really simple. Your 10 ideal organizations, and then build down those verticals, about 15 within each one of those each companies. Now you have 150 leads that are just available for you. So immediately you have really kind of scaled that search and focused it in terms of the places that you would really, really want to work for. And what I also suggest is kind of putting it in a little bit of a, you know, an ABC. These are my favorite companies. Like, I would die to work there. These are the ones I'd be super stoked about working there. And these are the ones that I'm interested in. And start on your C list first until you get the kinks out. Don't like throw, you know, don't give away your best shot until you really have things, you know, smoothed out and you feel really, really confident. Because kinks will come out. There's no question about it. So use some of the folks on the C list to get yourself going.
So I have a question related to that. So somebody's watching, they're looking to make a job move, or they're unemployed right now, and they're like, oh, they're hungry for these tips. They're like, okay, I'm going to make my hit list. I'm going to prioritize 11 industries, 10 companies per list. I'm going to start going after. Should I be inviting these people to connect on LinkedIn first? If I'm on Clubhouse, should I go follow them? You know, and any thoughts on including a personal message on LinkedIn, or, you know, what advice do you have for folks on that end?
So that's a very interesting question. So the Clubhouse app doesn't require any validation. They do not need to accept it. You can follow them anywhere at any time. They are hopefully they're linked either to Instagram or Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account. I mean, I do, but I don't use it. And I've been finding that linking out to Instagram works seamlessly, perfectly. So then you can take that, and, you know, what I would recommend at that point, once you start following them, I would still really try to learn a lot about them. Of course, they're going to have their bio on Clubhouse, but see if you can go into rooms that they're moderating. If they are, they may be doing a pop-up room for hiring. I've seen those. It's actually called, I wrote it down, Hello to Hired.
Oh, very cool.
Room that is, that yesterday had like a pop-up room that basically invited a lot of hiring managers, and candidates spilled out into those rooms.
So what do you mean by room? I mean, there might be people watching going, wait, room? I thought we were talking about Clubhouse. Now we got it. Are we going into a room, like a physical room? I thought we were supposed to be social distancing.
It's slowing me down. I appreciate that. I'm like running through the rooms. So a room is essentially a breakout area it comes with a title, and it basically is the name of the discussion, and people who are moderating, so they're going to be on the stage, They're going to be leading the discussion, and they're going to be setting up a format for both how that session is going to run and the type of room that it is. Some of the rooms are called popcorn, which means that they're much more fluid, popping from one person to the other. Mm-hmm. Others actually will invite you onto the stage, and then when you're done with your question or comment, we'll move you back down.
Okay, so, wait, invite me to the stage. Hold on here. Now I'm backing this up for people that are watching. Stage. Wait a minute. Now they're going to pull me up on stage, and I had this happen to me like when I first got on Clubhouse.
Oh, that's right.
You're in the audience, and then somebody says, "Hey, they want you up on stage," and I'm like, "Can they see me?" What does that mean on stage?
So, not to worry. You can decline. If you don't want to be called up on stage and someone on stage who is moderating voluntarily invites you up without you giving a heads up, you don't have to. You just politely decline. You'll get a notification while you're in the room, and you can just politely decline. If you choose to actually want to invite yourself or request to go up on stage, you can also raise your hand, just like in school, and they will then hopefully call on you. If the raised hand feature is still open, chances are they will call on you, and then you will have an opportunity to wait in the queue until it is your turn to share.
Okay. So related to this, we're kind of going back to this topic of this, job seeker focus today. We're talking about how to use Clubhouse and LinkedIn to accelerate your job search. So let's say I'm a job seeker, or I'm somebody in career transition, I'm on Clubhouse, and I happen to get lucky and find a room that has been started, and it's somebody who works at one of my targeted companies, and I get called up on stage, Loren. So do I use, as soon as they say, "Hey, Brenda, welcome, how are you doing today?" Do I say, "Great, Loren, I see that you work for ABC company, and I'm looking for a marketing director position there. Do you have any openings?" I mean, what's the etiquette on, asking for a job or asking for an opportunity on Clubhouse? I mean, should you be direct, or is there an etiquette there that we need to be thinking about?
Great question. If you are in a room called Hello to Hired, you have permission to ask for a job. That's the purpose of that room. You should have your elevator speech or your value proposition ready to go. I mean, if you're joining that room, come prepared. And come prepared with making sure that all the components on your profile are complete. Chances are they're going to be scanning that as they're inviting you up. Make sure that your Instagram is also working and linked, because if they want to get in touch with you, you want to make sure that you make that easy and you just, again, make it seamless, easy as possible. Every hiring manager you talk to, make it as easy for them to make a good decision as much as you can. Mm-hmm. So no friction. So yes, in those kinds of rooms, for sure, that's what it's there for.
And usually the moderators, don't they kind of let people know the ground rules? And I've even heard people saying, "Let me just reset the room," and they kind of let you know what the expectations are. And then people are still making, I don't want to say etiquette mistakes, but like somebody comes in and they get their speaker thing, and then they start talking over. And then one of the moderators will say, "Brenda, thank you for your enthusiasm. But we're going in order right now. We've got Joe and Jordan and somebody else in front of you, but we'll come to you in just a minute," right? Like, can you explain to us a little bit about that process?
Sure. When somebody is moved back down to the audience, or there's just an intuitive time to break, they'll call it a PTR, pull to refresh. So they're basically recalibrating the room to make sure that anybody who is ready and queued up to speak next goes to the top of that queue. And then they'll usually revisit what the purpose of we're talking about, and they'll just go back and summarize the content and the purpose of the room, and maybe some of the etiquette pointers that you just referenced as well. So we want to keep some structure and order to the room. Not that that's been a huge issue, but there have been known to be trolls coming in periodically, and people who are, again, green and may not understand what the Clubhouse, rules and regulations are.
Yeah. And I liked your earlier point, because it is live. You are, creating this authentic voice for yourself. But it is live. You've got a hot mic when you become a speaker, and you've got to mute yourself when you're not speaking. Now I want to go back to my question. So if you're in a hello to hire room, you said, yeah, it's okay to let people know what you're looking for. What if it's not? But again, I've got like my dream job list, and I see that somebody from that company is in the speaker area, and I get pulled up to be a speaker. Is it okay for me to say, hey, I'm looking for a job at your company. Could we talk offline? Or what would your recommendation be there? What's the etiquette?
I would err on the side of not doing that. You want to respect the agenda of the room first and foremost. And so I wouldn't launch into, kind of the what's in it for you at that point. I would really put that on pause, and I would use that opportunity to hear and take notes on what this gentle person was saying, and use that as a way to build a relationship, take that public conversation to a private conversation. I would leave a message through Instagram and essentially say, this is what lit me up, or I understood this. I have, a way that I've been using this that I'd love to discuss with you, or some way to build that connection. I use this phrase a lot. I wish I could take any credit for it, but go back to show me you know me. Show me you know me, Amy Volas. Show me you know me. This is a no-fail way to start and build rapport, because everyone wants to be seen and heard, and they're not necessarily in that moment, or even while they're moderating the room or thereafter, really focusing on anything other than facilitating the topic.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds like, I know you've been on there for a couple months. I kind of feel like you're an expert in Clubhouse. Right? You're an expert in Clubhouse, right?
We're all new, and that's really the truth. And, just for anybody who is on there and wants to know more about it, play around, be experimental, bop from room to room. Also, maybe there are some rooms that you choose to, visit on a regular basis, and you can follow the moderators and set that parameter so that you're always, there's a little bell icon, always notified when that person is starting a room.
Let me pull your profile back up on screen so I can show people what you're talking about, because I'm having a hard time visualizing. But as you're describing, I'm like, I think I know what she's talking about. And I don't know how large I can get this up on screen right now. I think this is about as big as I can go. But describe for me what you just said again, now that we're looking at this up on screen.
This little guy right here, it isn't resolving. Okay, this bell, if you hit this bell, it'll pop up, I believe it's 3 radio buttons. And that will say always, sometimes, and I believe it's never. Regardless of how many there are, the point being is that this will give you a notification on your phone from Clubhouse, and it would say something like, Loren is moderating, yada, yada, yada. And then I would know. So if there are people that you really like and you don't want to miss out on their room, and I'll give you a caveat in a moment, you will be notified. Here's the caveat. You could literally be distracted by your phone all day long with the amount of notifications that you get. So I do shut my notifications off. I put the rooms that I know that I want to go in my calendar instead of relying on my phone, because otherwise I would see too many bright, shiny objects during the day and I would never get anything else done. So that's, heed with this fair warning.
Yeah. And that's a good, for me, it's the same rule of thumb I follow for all my social media notifications. I don't have anything on my phone notifying me. I choose how to spend my time. And when I first started up on Clubhouse, it was like, oh, you can send notifications. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, because I know what's going to happen. I'll be one of those people that will say, oh, I just spent 3 hours today on Clubhouse and I got none of my client work done. So I think it's kind of being a little bit more focused there. So I want to start shifting us into Q&A, and I've seen a couple questions coming in already, and I see you guys are helping each other. Somebody was wondering earlier about the Clubhouse app, because there's a couple things in the store, and then appreciate you guys helping each other. And And Sue replied back, it's the black and white photo with the guy in a baseball cap. Do you know who that is or what that represents? I've always wondered.
They had that image recently changed. It was, I believe that it's a Clubhouse thought leader staff member. It's not the owners. It's somebody who is, I forget, Abraxas, I believe, was the gentleman who was on there before. And he also leads, I was going to mention this. There is, for anyone on there who doesn't know, there is a Sunday town hall that talks about the latest and greatest features and things that are working, things that they're working on to improve on Clubhouse. So they open up that Sunday meeting.
Okay, so I'm sharing it up on screen. I think I figured out a better way of doing it. And this is just like a screen capture of the front of my phone. I have like a lot of my social apps in the same kind of thing on my home screen, but it's the guy with the baseball cap. That's what the app looks like for there. Okay. And then somebody asked some security related questions. I'm not going to put Loren on the spot. I don't know the answer. And they saw a segment. It's going to cover us up right now. It's a real end question. We're not the experts on that. I would advise, look into, do some research on that. I think with anything, anytime you see information, you want to validate and make sure it is actually factually accurate and that it's reputable, where you're getting your news and information from. I did see someone else asking, and I don't know, I have not heard anything about when Android will be added. Have you heard any rumblings about that at all, Loren?
I heard the rumblings that I heard was in a town hall, not last Sunday, but the Sunday before. They said about 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so it's a little while out. And I actually heard of someone, I don't know who it was, Robbie Samuel. So he does, I don't know if you've heard of him, Loren. He does the No More Bad Zoom. It's every Friday. If someone knows the link, you can drop it in comments below. But he said he was an Android user, and he's like, I kept hearing about this Clubhouse. So he's like, I think he posted on his Facebook, and he said, does anybody have an old iPhone? And I think he said within like minutes, he got 2 or 3 people, and one person was within a half hour away. So they met up and they gave him the phone, and then he activated the phone so that he could get Clubhouse. So that's a little workaround, Randall, or any of you out there who don't want to wait. You could get an old iPhone, set it up. I mean, it's to get you on the app before. And I do believe, Loren, you can use it on an iPad too. Is that?
I believe you can. And also Kevin D. Turner, if anyone wants to find out, he posted that workaround because he is an Android user. And so he posted a similar path to get any Android user on it. And I believe it was using that same methodology.
Like getting an old iPhone kind of thing? Okay. It was like the easiest path to getting there is actually following the path, but thinking about how could you get a backdoor into getting an old phone, really, and getting an old iPad on there. So I just want to, encourage you guys, if you have any questions for Renee, we're really talking about how to use Clubhouse and LinkedIn to accelerate your job search. If you are a job seeker, pop in below and tell us what you're looking for, because you never know when somebody could be watching, and I'll pull your comments up on screen here. Happy to help you guys out too. Loren, any additional tips for people, whether it's, let me go back to my LinkedIn question earlier. When you invite people to connect on LinkedIn and you're a job seeker, what's the etiquette? If I'm looking for a job at your company, should I tell you that in my invitation to connect? Should I not put anything in the invitation and then wait until I follow up? Should I send you my resume right away? What's your advice for job seekers on that?
No. Please don't. I sometimes feel like this is a topic that always needs a reminder for everyone, not just for job seekers, which is that, people want to build, to feel and to embrace the fact that somebody is a person and not just there to provide, an answer to a particular need. Right? You should not go into it based off of what you're going to get out of it. And so I really do not recommend starting any relationship in person, out of person, online, on the phone, on Clubhouse, on LinkedIn, with anything other than learning about this person after you have done your homework to find out what this person is talking about. What conversations and problems are pressing in their world? and get involved with some of the content that they have been posting. I mean, if they are somebody who's active on LinkedIn, you are going to be able to literally learn so much about them if you are consistently involved with what they are sharing. You're going to also meet other people in those comment strings that are birds of a feather. So they're going to also want to get involved with that conversation. So, spend some time. I think there's nothing wrong with listening, lurking, and hopefully commenting. So, build some time before you go in for the ask, so that you have established, a really reasonable level of trust. Otherwise, it just doesn't work in your favor. I'm not going to project what it happens to the other person, but it doesn't work in your favor. Not from the beginning.
It actually does the opposite, because you're like, well, if I just need to get the job, I need to like be a little bit more aggressive so they know what I'm looking for, but it might actually be off-putting if you're too aggressive too early, right?
Oh, I mean, if any one of us tried that on, we would know how that felt. But when we're in that state of urgency and we want, to make sure that we're getting what our motives are, it's often it can come across in not the best light. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I wanted to say, Loren, we're kind of starting to get to the end of the time here today, and one thing I've learned about Clubhouse, I mean, learning as I go, but when I find people like you, Loren, and I open up the Clubhouse app, and if I see that you have an event, I call them events, but a room coming up, which is basically an event, I will add it to my calendar right away. And it's there. If I can make it, I'll pop on just to show you support. And I think that's what happened. If it wasn't this past weekend, I think it was the weekend before, I think you had a Clubhouse event going, and it was a smaller group. But I've actually found sometimes I get so much more value in coming into the smaller groups, the smaller rooms, than coming into a room that has 3,000 people in it. Because I came into the room and it was so nice of you. You're like, oh, Brenda's here. Brenda, do you want to come up on stage? And you invited me to be a speaker. And then we started really chatting and getting to know each other. So, any final pieces of advice for people who are kind of dipping their toe into Clubhouse, how to get started or anything kind of in that category?
I would say a couple three quick things. Please, if you are on Clubhouse, please fill out your profile. I will tell you that if you don't, it first of all, it won't help you because people won't get a flavor for you and they won't be able to call you up with any background to talk about. But also it leaves you as a red flag, because that's what they've been seeing as the common thread for people who are trolling. So you really? Yes. So you really want to make sure that you fill out that profile and don't feel like you need to rush it either, because you want to be strategic. You can look at other people's and see what they're doing. So fill out your profile, number one. Number two, go experiment and have fun. Treat it like a playground. Treat each one of those rooms as another area for you to explore. And you'll find your people there. You really will. I mean, especially if you're consistent. And the third, take those conversations with people and thought leaders that you really love, take them from public to private, and then go start rooms of your own. So that you can establish your own thought leadership in any of those opportunities, and it's accessible. And please be gentle with yourself. I seriously, I almost threw up like the first 5 times that I ever spoke, and people like Liam and this were like, oh no, you're doing great. I'm like, no, I'm not. This is not who I am. I'm not that person that's constantly stumbling and having a coronary. But it got better. Get the reps in. Don't worry about it. Get the reps in. It's a very forgiving community, and we're all new. We are really all new. So thank you a million, Brenda, for giving me time on your show and hopefully being able to provide some insights to your audience.
Yeah, no, this was great. And I before we wrap, I put this on here because I wanted to remind, there's this little, I thought it was a party hat, but Andy Foote keeps saying it's not a party hat, it's like a party popper. So if you guys see right where I'm pointing below here, if you're on Clubhouse, if you see people that have this little party popper on their photo, that means something, Loren, too, doesn't it? What does that mean?
It means you're a newbie. You'll be wearing that thing around for a whole week. But don't worry, it makes you extra special because people are like, oh, you're new. Oh, and they're like, so endearing and want to help and, make you feel welcome. So wear it proudly. Don't feel like, you have some kind of magnet on your head that says,
it's not like a hello, I'm new here. Like
right. It kind of is, but the gestures behind it are really welcoming. Don't worry about it.
And if you see people on Clubhouse too, I mean, I've always heard, explain to them, especially you can look at their profile and you can kind of see, oh, they don't have any followers yet. This must be like their first day, their first chat, their first room. And I see several people asking about how do I get into Clubhouse? You said it's by invitation, Loren. So if people are watching right now, can you invite them? Do you need to know the person?
I would continue to put out requests on LinkedIn. I have seen people be very, very generous about that. The only stipulation is that when you're inviting somebody, you're attached to them in terms of if they are poorly behaved on Clubhouse, you could get the boot too. So you want to be, if you know somebody, that's always going to be better, because the chances of somebody giving you an invite that they don't know at all are pretty slim, just because they want to make sure that they're acting in good ethics, not because they're trying to hide it or anything like that. They just don't know you, so they don't know what's going to happen. So lean out to your friends, continue to put stuff out on LinkedIn. I gave away all of my invites through other people that knew that I had some. And the more you're on the app, the more invites you'll get. So your invitations will be replenished as a way to reward you for the 20 hours that you've just spent on it.
So I'm just pulling up my phone, and you guys see I have 4 invites right now. So my my own kind of like, I don't know, litmus test or whatever you want to say, criteria, I guess you could say, is do I know you well enough that I'd want to exchange cell phone numbers with you, right? And if you're a client, we probably have each other's cell phone numbers. Beyond that, if I don't know you well enough that I want to give you my cell phone number, I'm probably not going to give you my Clubhouse invite. But if I know you and you want an invite, I love your point of posting on LinkedIn or post on Facebook. And I've seen people posting on Facebook, and I'm a bit more limited on Facebook, Loren. I don't know about you. I only have, close family and friends, people that I know. So if I see somebody posting on Facebook, like Mark Lee the other day posted, and he said, hey, I have some questions, I would give him an invite. But it's good to know, and I was aware that you're attached to the profile, but it's also good to know if they get kicked off, you get kicked off. So you want to align yourself with this person. How well do you know?
Yeah, I don't know if you get kicked off, but you definitely get some kind of hand slap.
You get a demerit or, like something. They take away your pie, probably, right? It always comes back to pie.
It always comes back. Yeah.
Okay. So as we wrap up here today, Loren, I want to put your LinkedIn URL up on screen, and I'm going to share with folks your LinkedIn profile for those folks that maybe joined a few minutes late here today. Are you open to accepting invitations from folks that watch the show?
Please, absolutely. Would love to hear from you. Always welcome people to connect with on LinkedIn. And I don't know if you put it out there, but my handle on Clubhouse is Loren G.
Loren G. Okay, perfect. I don't know if I had that on here or not, but I will add.
It's right at the bottom of this piece right here.
Profile, right?
Yeah, it's right here on my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, it's right here, Loren G. Yeah. So it looks like Loreng, Loreng.
Right? Loreng, yeah. Keep them guessing, right, Brenda?
And then your website again was Portfolio Rocket.
PortfolioRocket.com. You got it. Okay. Yes.
Anything in particular you want to point out on your website for folks?
No, because it's going to be relaunched in about 2 weeks. So stay tuned. Yes.
Very exciting. Well, I'm so delighted to have had the chance to chat with you here today, Loren. And looking forward to seeing you in Clubhouse. When is your next room that you're hosting? Do you have anything coming up right now?
I have 2 really interesting rooms. So tomorrow I'm hosting a room with none other than Ken Lang called Soundtracks of Our Lives, and the power of music to get you through the ups and downs, the ins and outs. And I think what we're going to be doing after that is understanding from the music that gets played before job interviews, or when things don't work out in an interview, or any of those occasions that happen in our professional life, and building out some playlists from that, so that people have a curated playlist to play along when they get to those moments. So as leave behind. And then on Saturdays, I host a room with Stephanie Ritz is her name, and she is amazing, and she's been a wonderful co-host. We are doing mindset in the job market.
Great. And how can we find those events? Can we just search for you? And then
so they're on my Instagram, which is portfoliorocket.com, Portfolio Rocket on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I will be posting them also up on LinkedIn, and they'll be announced. There's announcements on Clubhouse. But if anybody sends me a DM through LinkedIn, I am happy to send those to you.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Loren. It's been such a delight. We had a little conversation on Clubhouse, on Clubhouse, I guess it was. And I'm like, hey, let's come on over to LinkedIn where we can really get to know each other. And it was such a delight speaking with you today. I hope you stay warm. Is it still snowing there right now, or what's going on?
No, it's not snowing, but it's going to take a while to thaw.
Well, certainly. Well, I hope you stay warm out there, and it was really a delight to see you. And I will probably see you on Clubhouse. I'll definitely look up those upcoming events, and we'll definitely stay in touch. So thank you again.
We will. Thank you again and again, Social Media Pie and Brenda Meller. Thank you.
It was fun. All right, guys, I just want to say, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I did see someone ask a question about, will there be a replay of this available later? The great thing about these live videos, Charlotte, can you shut the door? It sounds like there's a party going on in I don't know who's in the house right now. My daughter just opened the door as I'm trying to wrap up here too. The great thing about LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live and Facebook Live is as soon as the broadcast is done, you can go back and rewatch it. So as soon as we're done here, you can go back in and rewatch the video again. And for those folks that are watching, I would love to ask you guys for a favor. Could you do me a favor? And that is, when you go and leave the video, go back and find it and click share. Share the video along, share it with someone in your network, because there may be somebody who can benefit from hearing about Loren's tips on using Clubhouse and integrating it with LinkedIn for your job search, or maybe they're just curious about Clubhouse in general. There were so many great pieces of information in here. So if you guys go and share that video along, you can help to spread the word to more people. So this has been Brenda Meller with Social Media Pie and my special guest, Loren Greiff, here today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the playback, and looking forward to seeing you guys on Clubhouse maybe a little bit later on, and we'll definitely see you on LinkedIn in the future.
Thank you, Brenda.
Have a lovely day, and thank you again, Loren. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care, everyone.